The crystalline spires of New Singapore's diplomatic quarter gleamed in the setting sun as Commander Isabella Reyes adjusted her combat suit's neural interface. The sleek black armor was cutting-edge Earth technology, but right now it felt as confining as a coffin. She stood at parade rest beside the delegation's shuttle, watching as Earth's most important diplomats prepared to make history with the Centauri Alliance. Status check, she vocalized through the team's encrypted channel. One by one, her elite squad of mercenaries responded. Hawk in position. Western approach secured. That was Marcus Walsh, their long-range specialist. His augmented eyes could spot a target from 3 kilometers away. Ghost, all clear below. Yuki Tanaka, their infiltration expert, was already in the maintenance tunnels beneath the diplomatic center. If anything went wrong, she'd get the diplomats out through the secret escape routes she'd mapped over the past week. Anvil standing by. The deep rumble came from Viktor Petrov, their heavy weapons specialist. At 7 feet tall with experimental combat augmentations, he was a walking tank. Reyes watched Ambassador Heinrich and his team ascend the shuttle's ramp. After 3 centuries of isolation following the failed colony wars, humanity was finally ready to rejoin the galactic community. The Centauri Alliance had reached out first, impressed by humanity's rapid technological advancement and resilience. But not everyone wanted peace. That's why Reyes and her team had been hired. Quantum Defense Solutions was the most expensive private security firm on Earth, but they were worth every credit. Their reputation for getting impossible jobs done had spread even to alien worlds. The diplomatic center's grand hall was a marvel of alien architecture. Floating platforms of translucent material created multiple levels, connected by shimmering energy bridges. The Centauri delegation waited on the highest platform. Tall, elegant beings with iridescent skin and 4 arms. Their ceremonial robes rippled with patterns of light that seemed to respond to their emotions. "I don't like this setup," Walsh muttered over the comm. "Too many angles. Too many shadows. Stay focused," Reyes responded. "Ghost, how's our exit route looking?" "Clear for now, but..." Yuki paused. "Commander, I'm picking up some weird energy signatures in the lower levels. Nothing matches known Centauri patterns." Reyes felt her combat instincts kick in. 10 years of mercenary work had taught her to trust her gut. Anvil, prep for trouble. Ghost, get me more data on those signatures. The diplomatic teams met at the center of the highest platform. Ambassador Heinrich bowed in the Centauri fashion, all the way from the waist, arms spread wide to show no weapons. The lead Centauri, High Speaker Valazan, returned the gesture with all 4 arms. That's when Reyes saw it, a slight shimmer in the air behind the Centauri delegation. Active camouflage technology, but not Centauri design. She was moving before her conscious mind fully processed the threat. "Contact," she shouted, launching herself forward with her suit's enhanced muscles. The air erupted with plasma fire as hidden attackers decloaked around the platform. Their armor was obsidian black, organic-looking, with too many limbs. Vexteri shock troops, the galaxy's most feared commandos. Reyes slammed into Ambassador Heinrich, her personal shield absorbing 3 plasma bolts meant for him. They rolled behind a decorative column as more shots filled the air. The Centauri delegates scattered, their own guards emerging from concealment to return fire. Anvil, suppress. Walsh, priority targets. Ghost, get those tunnels ready. Reyes barked orders while drawing her pistol, a modified Earth weapon that fired microscopic black holes. The technology was barely understood, but it was one of the few things that could penetrate Vexteri armor. Victor's heavy plasma cannon roared to life from his position on a lower platform, forcing several Vexteri into cover. Walsh's rifle cracked twice, and 2 attackers fell, precision shots finding the weak points in their alien armor. But more kept coming. This isn't a hit squad, Reyes realized as she saw the numbers. It's an invasion force. Ghost, what's happening in the lower levels? They're coming up through the Foundation. Yuki's voice was tight with tension. I count at least 30 more signatures. They've planted some kind of devices too. Reading massive energy buildup. Bombs. Rise cursed. They're trying to destroy the whole center. Anvil, keep them busy up here. Ghost, you're with me. We're going hunting. She shoved Heinrich toward the nearest emergency exit, where Centauri guards waited to escort him. Walsh, cover the diplomat's retreat. Shoot anything that isn't human or Centauri. The next few minutes were chaos. Rise and Yuki fought their way down through service corridors and maintenance shafts, their enhanced reflexes and combat suits giving them an edge against the Vexteri troops. Above, the sound of Victor's cannon and Walsh's rifle created a deadly duet. They found the first bomb in a subbasement, a writhing mass of organic technology, its surface pulsing with sickly green light. Yuki's fingers flew over her datapad, trying to interface with the alien device. Can't disable it remotely, she reported, but I can trigger it early, on a small scale. Might work as a counter to the others, if we detonate them in sequence. Do it, Rise ordered, watching their backs as more Vexteri closed in. Walsh, status. Diplomats are clear, but we got problems. Big ones. Vexteri dropships just breached atmosphere. Military-grade stuff. Rise made a quick decision. Ghost, rig these bombs. Anvil, Walsh, fall back to extraction point Beta. We're going to give these bugs a lesson in human hospitality. As plasma fire filled the corridor, Rise smiled grimly behind her helmet. The Vexteri thought humanity was still the same species they'd pushed around centuries ago. They were about to learn just how much humans had evolved, and how dangerous they could be when protecting what mattered. The real war was just beginning. 18 hours after the attack, Commander Rise stood in the QDS Mobile Command Center, studying holographic replays of the battle. The diplomatic center was now a smoking crater. Their controlled detonation of the Vexteri bombs had destroyed the evidence, but saved thousands of lives in the surrounding districts of New Singapore. Play it again, she ordered, focusing on the moment the first attackers decloaked. Something wasn't adding up. The Vexteri moved with precision, yes, but their tactics were oddly familiar. They've studied us, Walsh said from his position by the window, his augmented eyes continuously scanning the skyline. Those weren't standard Vexteri assault patterns. They knew exactly how Earth's security teams would respond. Yuki looked up from her workstation, where she was analyzing captured Vexteri technology. That's not all. These weapons, they're hybrids. Vexteri bioorganic base, but modified with Earth-style targeting systems. Someone's been sharing technology. Victor emerged from the armory, his massive frame filling the doorway. Commander, you need to see this. He placed a piece of mangled alien armor on the briefing table. Found it in the wreckage. Look at the manufacturer's mark. Rise leaned in, her enhanced vision zooming on the tiny symbol. Her blood ran cold. Helios Advanced Systems, one of Earth's biggest military contractors. Son of a... Traitors, Walsh spat. Working with the bugs. Bigger than that. Ray straightened up, pieces falling into place. Think about it. First diplomatic contact in centuries. Heavy security presence expected. Perfect cover for an attack that could spark a war. Yuki's fingers danced over her holoconsole, found something in their comm frequencies. They were receiving real-time updates on diplomatic security positions. Had to come from inside. A chime sounded, and a new hologram materialized. High Speaker Valazan of the Centauri. The alien skin rippled with patterns of concern. Commander Reyes, we've completed our preliminary investigation. The attackers used quantum signatures matching a specific Vexteri high ship, the World Render. It's commanded by War Master Kexery, a known extremist. Any idea where they're headed? Our long-range sensors tracked them to the Horsehead Nebula. But Commander, Valazan's patterns shifted to a deep purple of warning. We've detected unusual movements in Earth's defense grid. Someone is creating gaps in your planetary shield coverage. They're not done. Rise realized. The diplomatic center was just a test run. They're planning something bigger. She turned to her team. Ghost, I need everything you can find on Helios Advanced Systems. Money trails, shipping manifests, anything. Walsh, get your contacts in Earth's military talking. Find those gaps in the defense grid. Anvil, prep our heavy gear. All of it. What's our play? Victor asked, already mentally cataloging their arsenal. We hunt. Rice's voice was steel. The Vextari think they can manipulate Earth and the Centauri into destroying each other. But they don't understand what they're dealing with. Humanity didn't survive the failed colony wars by being predictable. She activated the command center's main tactical display, bringing up a 3D map of the Horsehead Nebula. Hi speaker, I need a favor. The fastest ship you can spare, loaded with any intel you have on the world render. You intend to attack a Vextari high ship. Valazan's skin flickered with disbelief. Even our most advanced battlecruisers cannot penetrate their defenses. Good thing we're not bringing a battlecruiser. Rise smiled grimly. We're bringing something they'll never expect. Human ingenuity and a whole lot of experimental weapons we're not supposed to have. The next few hours were a blur of preparation. Yuki's investigation revealed a web of corruption, reaching into the highest levels of Earth's defense industry. Helios Advanced Systems had been secretly trading with Vextari extremists for years, each side hoping to gain an advantage in what they saw as an inevitable war. Walsh's contacts confirmed the worst, systematic weakening of Earth's defenses, disguised as routine maintenance. The gaps would align in 3 days, creating a window large enough for a major invasion force. Victor returned from the armory with their special equipment, prototype weapons and defense systems that officially didn't exist. Quantum phase shifters, dark matter warheads, and personal singularity generators. The kind of weapons that skirted the edges of known physics. Ships ready, Yuki announced. Centauri stealth courier, modified for human life support. They're calling it the Shadow Dancer. Time to make these bugs regret ever hearing about humanity. Walsh checked his custom rifle, each round containing enough exotic matter to punch through a small cruiser's shields. As they boarded the Shadow Dancer, Rise received one last transmission from Earth Command. Commander, if you're wrong about this, then humanity gets the war these traitors want, she finished. But if we're right, we can stop it before it starts. Sometimes the best way to prevent a war is to win it before it begins. The Shadow Dancer lifted off, its advanced Centauri engines barely whispering as they powered up. In the cargo hold, Victor was already modifying their weapons to interface with their suits' enhanced targeting systems. Ghost, how long until we reach the world render? Yuki consulted the nav computer. 16 hours at maximum stealth speed. They won't see us coming. Good. Rice settled into the command chair, reviewing their assault plans. Because when we arrive, we're going to teach them why humans have a reputation for being the galaxy's best warriors, and why you never, ever try to manipulate us into fighting your wars. As the Shadow Dancer slipped into quantum space, Rice thought about the battles ahead. The Vextari were about to learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their weapons or technology. It was their ability to adapt, to turn any situation to their advantage, and their absolute refusal to be used as pawns in someone else's game. The hunt was on, and this time the predators were about to become the prey. Assault on the high ship. The Shadow Dancer emerged from quantum space at the edge of the Horsehead Nebula, its Centauri stealth systems rendering it nearly invisible against the cosmic backdrop. Through the view screen, the world render hung like a twisted nightmare, an organic mechanical hybrid the size of a small moon. That's bigger than the intel suggested, Walsh muttered, his augmented eyes scanning the behemoth's surface. I'm counting thousands of weapon emplacements. Focus on the mission, Rise commanded, studying the tactical overlay. Ghost, what's the status on their security systems? Yuki's fingers danced across her holographic interface. Their bioneural networks are incredibly complex, but I'm detecting a vulnerability. The hybrid Earth tech they're using isn't fully compatible with their organic systems, creates micro-gaps in their detection grid. Those gaps are our way in. Rise activated the tactical display. We'll use the quantum phase shifters to slip through their outer defenses. Then we split into two teams. Ghost and I will locate and secure their central nervous system. Anvil and Walsh, you'll plant the dark matter charges at these structural points. Victor checked his heavy weaponry. And if we encounter resistance, then we show them why humans are the most feared mercenaries in the galaxy. Rise loaded a quantum disruptor round into her rifle. Remember, we're not here to start a war. We're here to prevent one. The infiltration went smoothly, almost too smoothly. Using their phase shifters, they bypassed the outer defenses and entered through a maintenance port. The interior of the world render was a nightmarish fusion of biological and mechanical systems, pulsing with an unsettling rhythm. Movement ahead, Walsh warned. Large group coming fast. They pressed themselves against the organic walls as a patrol of Vextari warriors passed. But these weren't the elite troops they'd faced on Earth. These moved awkwardly, almost robotically. They're augmented, Yuki observed. Crude cyber neural interfaces, Helios tech. They're experimenting on their own people, Rise realized. This goes deeper than we thought. The last stand. The team fought their way deeper into the hive ship, encountering increasingly desperate resistance. Their Earth-based weapons proved devastatingly effective against the hybrid defenders, but the sheer numbers were overwhelming. Commander, Yuki's voice crackled over the comm. I've accessed their command network. This isn't just an invasion force. They're building an army, combining Vextari biology with Earth augmentation technology. They plan to use Earth as a testing ground for their new weapons. A massive explosion rocked the ship. Victor's voice came through, strained but determined. Charges set in the engineering sectors. But we've got company, lots of it. Fall back to the rendezvous point. Rise ordered. Ghost, do you have what we need? Better. Yuki's voice was grim with satisfaction. I found their entire command structure. And something else. Quantum patterns matching the gaps in Earth's defense grid. We can prove the conspiracy. They fought their way back through corridors filled with twisted cyber-organic warriors. Walsh's precision shots and Victor's heavy weapons created a path, while Reyes and Yuki protected their precious data core. But at the extraction point, they found their worst fears confirmed. Warmaster Kexery waited with an elite guard of unaugmented warriors. Behind them stood a human, wearing the corporate insignia of Helios Advanced Systems. Director Richards, Reyes spat. Selling out your own species. Advancing it, the corporate director corrected. The Vextari offered us power beyond imagination. Why fight a war when we could merge our strengths? Because some prices are too high. Rise nodded to her team. They moved with practiced precision, their enhanced reflexes and combat suits pushing the boundaries of human capability. Part 5. Dawn of a New Alliance. The final battle was brutal but decisive. While Walsh and Victor engaged the Vextari warriors, Reyes and Yuki executed a desperate gambit. They used their quantum phase shifters to bypass the guards entirely, reaching the ship's central nervous system. Yuki uploaded a virus, one that turned the ship's hybrid systems against itself. The crude Earth-based augmentations began to fail, throwing the entire vessel into chaos. All charges armed, Victor reported. This whole place is going to collapse. Not just collapse. Yuki's voice held grim satisfaction. I'm broadcasting everything. The conspiracy, the experiments, all of it, to both Earth and the Centauri Alliance. They fought their way back to the Shadow Dancer as the world render began to tear itself apart. Director Richards and Warmaster Kexery were captured. Their plans for galactic war ended before they could begin. 3 days later, Commander Reyes stood before a joint Earth-Centauri Council. The evidence they'd gathered had exposed the conspiracy and prevented a devastating war. More importantly, it had shown both species the true threat. those who would sacrifice anything for power. Your actions have done more than prevent a war, High Speaker Valazan announced, her skin patterns shimmering with approval. They have shown us that humanity's strength lies not in its weapons or technology, but in its indomitable spirit and unwavering principles. The Centauri Alliance and Earth signed their first mutual defense pact that day. Even more surprisingly, a delegation of Vextari rebels, those who had opposed Kexri's extremist views, requested asylum and the chance to work towards peace. As Reyes watched the historic signatures, Walsh appeared at her side. "Think it'll last?" "It better." She smiled grimly. "Because if anyone else tries to start a war, they'll have to deal with all of us." The mercenaries of Quantum Defense Solutions had done more than complete a mission. They had proven that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their advanced technology or combat skills. It was their ability to turn enemies into allies and their determination to fight for what was right, no matter the odds. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly what humanity had been waiting for.